Have you ever noticed that people start to miss you the moment you make a change? It's funny. Sometimes we spend so much of our lives giving, staying available, and showing up for everyone, only to feel overlooked or taken for granted. But the moment you shift your focus, prioritize yourself and set boundaries, that's when others finally realize your value. Today, I'm going to dive into the powerful reasons why people start to appreciate you the moment you decide to put yourself first. If you've ever wondered how to make a lasting impact, this is for you. Number 1. Why standing up for yourself matters. Standing up for yourself is a powerful act that demonstrates self-respect and sets a clear standard for how you deserve to be treated. Often, we hesitate to assert our needs and boundaries because we worry about conflict, losing relationships, or hurting others' feelings. However, standing up for yourself isn't about pushing others away. It's about honoring your own worth and paving the way for more authentic connections. When you establish what you will and won't accept, others are prompted to respect your boundaries, which ultimately enhances mutual appreciation and understanding. The benefits of standing up for yourself, shifting the power dynamic. When you assert your needs, it disrupts established power dynamics. Often, relationships can fall into predictable roles where one person is more dominant, while the other goes along to keep the peace. When you stand up for yourself, you change that dynamic by demanding equal footing. This change may be challenging initially, but it prompts others to consider your needs more consciously. For instance, imagine a friendship where you've always been the one to compromise on plans. If you start expressing your preferences, your friend might feel surprised or even slightly defensive at first. However, over time they'll come to see that you're not just following along, you have your own desires and opinions, and you deserve a say. This leads to more balanced relationships where both parties feel valued. Setting clear boundaries. Boundaries are vital for healthy relationships. They define where your needs begin and others' expectations end. Standing up for yourself allows you to set these boundaries clearly, so there's less room for misunderstanding or disappointment. For example, if you let others know that you need alone time after work to recharge, they're less likely to feel hurt or confused when you're unavailable for evening plans. When people know where they stand with you, they often appreciate your honesty. Your boundaries also create a framework for relationships that doesn't rely on resentment or overextending yourself. When you establish these limits, you'll likely find that people respect your time and energy more, realizing that your presence is not guaranteed, but is a gift you choose to share. Demanding respect. Standing up for yourself also has a profound effect on how others perceive you. It signals that you respect yourself enough not to settle for less than you deserve. This newfound self-assurance often earns you respect from others as they recognize your inner strength. People may initially be taken aback by your assertiveness, especially if they're used to you being more passive. However, over time, they'll come to see that your strength is something to admire, not challenge. For example, if you decide not to tolerate gossip or negative comments, it communicates that you're someone who values integrity. This might initially cause tension in environments where such behavior is commonplace, but soon, people will start to respect your stance and may even follow your lead. This is how standing up for yourself can create a ripple effect, inspiring those around you to be more respectful and conscious in their interactions. Encouraging self-reflection in others. One of the most powerful side effects of standing up for yourself is the reflection it encourages in others. When you begin to voice your needs and set boundaries, it can prompt those around you to evaluate their own behavior. They might realize they've been too dependent on your willingness to always say yes, or too comfortable assuming you'll always put their needs first. This can lead to a positive shift where they begin to take responsibility for their actions, fostering a more mature and respectful relationship. For example, if you were the go-to person for handling everyone's problems, standing up for yourself by limiting this role may initially disappoint others. However, it also teaches them to be more self-reliant. They might start to miss the easy support you provided, but will also come to appreciate the time and energy you gave them previously. Number 2. Becoming unavailable, reclaiming your time and space. Why becoming unavailable can be beneficial. In today's world, constant availability is often mistaken for reliability. Many people feel pressured to be available at all times, whether it's answering texts immediately, saying yes to every request, or always being physically present. While it's good to be dependable, being overly available can lead to burnout and diminish the value others place on your presence. By becoming unavailable, setting specific times for solitude, focusing on personal goals, or simply not always being on call, you allow others to see the significance of your presence more clearly. The benefits of becoming unavailable. Creating a sense of rarity. When you're always available, people may take you for granted without even realizing it. Your constant presence becomes expected, almost as though it's a right, rather than a privilege. However, when you make yourself less available, your presence becomes something people notice and appreciate more. For example, if you're the friend who always picks up the phone or drops everything to help, try setting boundaries around your availability. When people can no longer expect instant responses, they may find themselves valuing your time more. They'll start to recognize that your presence is not a given, but rather something to be cherished. Encouraging reflection on your impact. By stepping back and becoming less available, you give others the space to reflect on the role you play in their lives. People often don't realize the impact you have until you're not there to provide it. Your absence allows them to consider what you brought to their life, which they may have previously overlooked. Consider a coworker who always relied on you for help with projects. If you take a step back and focus on your own responsibilities, this coworker may struggle initially but will come to recognize how much you supported them. They may start to miss your guidance, realizing how much easier their tasks were when you were around. This appreciation is more genuine because it comes from the understanding of your unique contributions. Teaching respect for your time. Becoming unavailable isn't about abandoning relationships or commitments. It's about ensuring that others respect your time and energy. When you're not available at all times, you're teaching those around you that your schedule matters. This respect often leads to more mindful interactions where others reach out thoughtfully, rather than expecting immediate responses or assuming you're free. For instance, if you're in the habit of answering work emails after hours, try setting a boundary where you only check messages during work hours. Initially, colleagues might find this inconvenient, but over time, they'll respect your limits and perhaps even adopt healthier boundaries themselves. Encouraging independence in others. When you're always available, people can grow dependent on you, sometimes at the cost of their own independence. Becoming unavailable teaches others to stand on their own. This isn't just good for you, it's also beneficial for them, as it fosters self-sufficiency and personal growth. Imagine you're the friend who always organizes events, ensuring everyone has a good time. If you step back, others might initially feel a bit lost without your leadership. But soon, they'll step up, taking responsibility for planning and organizing, which builds their confidence and independence. This new balance makes your role in the group more appreciated, as people realize how much you contributed. Promoting healthier, more balanced relationships. In some relationships, constant availability can lead to unhealthy dynamics where one person's needs are prioritized over the others. Becoming unavailable in a balanced way helps create more equality in the relationship. It allows each person to take responsibility for their own happiness and well-being, rather than relying on one individual to meet all their needs. For example, in a romantic relationship, if one partner is always emotionally available while the other isn't, it can lead to imbalance. When the emotionally available partner becomes more selective with their time, it encourages the other to step up and offer more support. Over time, this balance fosters a healthier relationship where both partners feel valued and respected. Real-life example. Unavailability as a path to appreciation. Consider John, who is always the go-to person for solving problems at his job. John loves helping his colleagues, but over time he starts to feel burned out, as he's constantly pulled away from his own tasks. John decides to set a boundary, only offering help at designated times and focusing on his work the rest of the time. Number 3. Improving yourself quietly. In a world where social media promotes broadcasting every achievement, choosing to improve yourself quietly can be a profound and transformative decision. This approach isn't about secrecy. It's about focusing on growth for your own sake without the need for external validation. It might mean acquiring new skills, dedicating time to self-reflection, or making lifestyle changes to enhance your physical and mental health. The transformation happens subtly, and the effect on others can be significant. They'll start to notice your growth and, as time goes on, miss the former dynamic. The quiet impact of self-improvement. When you work on yourself without seeking attention, you become someone people notice without understanding why. Your growth is evident in your conversations, your approach to challenges, and your positive energy, even if you aren't openly discussing it. This kind of self-improvement can influence everything from your body language to the decisions you make, creating a new version of you that's focused and self-assured. Others might not see every detail, but they'll feel the shift in how you carry yourself. Why they'll miss you. This quiet transformation has a way of making people nostalgic for your past self, especially when they see you leveling up in ways they may not have anticipated. It often triggers a sense of admiration, respect, or even envy. People may start to realize that they once had access to someone who was growing rapidly, and now they feel the distance. Your personal growth makes them see their own lack of progress, creating a void that makes them miss the easier dynamic they had with you before. The allure of self-growth and distance. As you improve and grow, you might find yourself naturally distancing from certain relationships or environments. Growth often brings clarity, helping you recognize what aligns with you and what doesn't. When you stop participating in the same old conversations or avoid places that no longer match your aspirations, others begin to feel the change. This allure, this silent strength, may remind them of what they didn't fully appreciate in you. The absence of the old you often makes people long for what they once overlooked. Practical tips to improve yourself quietly. If you're ready to take this path, consider these practical tips to fuel your growth subtly. Set personal goals. Define areas for improvement, whether it's reading more, focusing on health, or mastering a skill. Set goals that you're passionate about, not just for the sake of showcasing achievements. Focus on consistency, not perfection. Make small changes daily rather than big leaps. This kind of change is sustainable and creates lasting transformation. Limit social media announcements. Resist the urge to share every success or update. Instead, let people notice your growth organically. Surround yourself with positive influences. If you're improving, spend time with people who encourage growth and support your journey. Number 4. Exiting drama and negativity. Removing yourself from drama and negativity can be one of the most liberating decisions you can make. Whether it's distancing yourself from toxic relationships, limiting time in environments that breed stress, or managing your own negative self-talk, exiting the cycle of negativity is essential for inner peace. Drama often acts like quicksand. The more you engage, the deeper you get pulled in. Choosing peace over chaos can help you feel lighter and more centered, and your absence in these dynamics will be felt. How negativity drains us, and why stepping away. Helps. Negativity has a way of draining our energy, often leaving us feeling anxious, frustrated, and stuck. When you're in an environment where gossip, resentment, or toxicity thrives, it can weigh you down and impact your emotional health. Deciding to step away from this cycle is a choice to reclaim your mental well-being. It might mean walking away from certain conversations, avoiding social circles that indulge in gossip, or even limiting time with friends who don't uplift you. By doing this, you create a boundary that protects your peace. Why they'll miss you. When you choose to exit drama and negativity, Others will miss the calm and stability you used to bring. In tense situations, your presence likely served as a grounding force, even if people didn't recognize it. Those still immersed in negativity will notice your absence because they miss the balance you provided. As you create space from the drama, your distance sends a powerful message. You're unwilling to compromise your peace for short-lived validation or conflict. This often inspires people to reflect on their own actions and behavior, making them miss the stability you brought into their lives. Setting boundaries and saying no to drama. Walking away from negativity isn't easy, but it's an essential part of self-care. Setting boundaries might mean saying no to invitations or redirecting conversations to more positive topics. By doing this, you're prioritizing your well-being and making it clear to others that your time and energy are valuable. Practical steps for exiting drama and negativity. Here's how you can remove yourself from negativity and create a more peaceful life. Identify the sources. Determine the people, situations, or thoughts that lead to negativity in your life. Recognizing these sources is the first step to setting boundaries. Limit exposure. If certain friends or environments are consistently draining, reduce your involvement gradually, focusing on relationships that bring you positivity. Practice mindfulness. Staying mindful of your own reactions to drama helps you step back and stay calm, rather than getting pulled into others' issues. Redirect conversations. When gossip or negative talk arises, gently steer the conversation toward positive topics or remove yourself from it entirely. Exiting drama and negativity allows you to lead with calm and confidence. As you distance from negativity, people will start to value the peace and clarity that you brought into their lives, making them miss your grounding presence. Number 5. Living by example. Living by example is one of the most influential ways to inspire others. Rather than preaching values or giving advice, you simply live according to your principles and priorities. This might mean practicing what you preach, committing to a fitness goal, or being kind and consistent. When people see someone consistently living in alignment with their values, it often resonates more deeply than words. Your behavior quietly encourages others to reflect on their own lives, sometimes inspiring them to take action or make a change. The power of silent influence. Living by example is impactful because it shows people what's possible rather than just telling them. When you act with integrity, people see your dedication, resilience, and values in action. This type of influence is subtle, yet powerful, often leaving a lasting impression on those around you. Whether it's through kindness, hard work, or self-care, living by example holds others to a quiet standard and makes them realize how meaningful and impactful your choices are. Why they'll miss you. When you're no longer around to quietly inspire, people may feel the absence of your example as a reminder of what they could aspire to. When they face challenges, they may recall how you handled similar situations with grace and resilience. If you used to be the one always setting an example for healthy living, self-discipline, or positivity, people will start to miss the quiet encouragement you brought into their lives. Without that role model, they may recognize the difference and realize they overlooked your influence. Building integrity by living your values. Living by example requires consistency. It's about committing to your beliefs and following through on your goals. This commitment doesn't need to be shared. It's visible in the way you approach each day, every interaction, and every challenge. Staying true to your values, even when others aren't watching, is what sets you apart. Practical tips for leading by example. To become a role model, here are some tips on leading by example without needing to preach. Focus on consistency over perfection. Living by example doesn't mean being perfect. It means consistently working on being the best version of yourself. Embrace progress and consistency. Stay grounded in your values. Define what matters most to you, whether it's kindness, resilience, or authenticity. Make sure your actions align with these values, so people can see your commitment in real time. Respect others' journeys. Leading by example isn't about judging others. Respect their choices while silently embodying the change you wish to see. Celebrate small wins. Recognize and appreciate your own milestones, but keep it subtle. This inspires people by showing them that steady progress is more important than massive leaps. Number 6. Becoming selective with your time. As we navigate through life, our time is one of our most valuable assets. However, it's often something we give away too freely, without realizing the impact it has on how others view us. Being selective with your time, choosing carefully who and what you invest in, not only boosts your self-worth, but also subtly shifts the dynamics of relationships. It creates a sense of scarcity that often makes others realize just how valuable your presence is. Let's explore this concept in depth, with actionable strategies for becoming more discerning in your time management. Why being selective with your time makes others value you. More scarcity breeds value. Imagine a rare gemstone versus a common rock. The scarcity of the gemstone makes it highly valuable, while the rock, despite being more accessible, is overlooked. The same principle applies to your time. When people have unlimited access to you, they might subconsciously take you for granted, viewing your presence as something that's always there, readily available. But when you begin to prioritize your time and become more selective, you create a sense of scarcity. This shift often triggers a realization in others. They start to see your presence as something precious rather than guaranteed. Signals self-worth and self-respect. When you decide to invest your time selectively, you're effectively telling the world that you value yourself. People often sense this unspoken message as it reflects confidence and self-respect. Becoming more discerning with your time challenges others to think about how they may have treated or undervalued you in the past. They begin to appreciate you more deeply, understanding that your time and energy are not things to be taken lightly. Quality over quantity. Relationships and interactions become more meaningful when you're intentional about how you spend your time. Instead of spreading yourself thin and constantly showing up for others, focusing on fewer, deeper connections often results in richer, more fulfilling relationships. People will feel the quality of the time you spend with them and recognize the value you bring into their lives. How to become selective with your time. Practical strategies. 1. Set clear boundaries. Clear boundaries are the cornerstone of being selective with your time. This doesn't mean building walls around yourself, but rather establishing respectful guidelines for when and how you're available. For example, if you're consistently invited to events or asked for help at inconvenient times, it's okay to say no. Boundaries help others understand that your time is precious, and when you do make yourself available, it's because you genuinely want to be there. How to implement this. Assess your current boundaries. Take note of situations where you often feel overextended or resentful. These are areas where boundaries might be lacking. Communicate your boundaries. Politely let people know when you're available and when you need time for yourself. This can be as simple as saying, "I can't make it this time, but I'd love to catch up soon." Respect your own boundaries. Honor the limits you set by committing to them, even if it's uncomfortable at first. By respecting your own boundaries, you're reinforcing the importance of your time. 2. Prioritize relationships and activities that align with your values. Being selective with your time means spending it on what truly matters to you. People, hobbies, and pursuits that align with your values and bring positivity into your life. By focusing on these meaningful areas, you not only enrich your own life, but also deepen the relationships with those who genuinely support and appreciate you. How to implement this. Identify your values. Reflect on what you value most in life. This could be family, creativity, career growth, or personal well-being. Evaluate your relationships and activities. Are the people and tasks in your life aligned with these values? If not, consider scaling back your involvement to make room for what's more meaningful to you. Cultivate intentional connections. Focus on nurturing relationships that are reciprocal and bring you joy. By investing time in these connections, you're building a support network that values and respects your boundaries. Number 2, being unfazed by validation. Why it's the key to inner freedom and true self-worth. Validation from others is something most people crave, whether it's through praise, recognition, or approval. But seeking validation too eagerly can hold us back from developing a strong sense of self-worth and independence. Learning to be unfazed by validation allows you to step into a more authentic version of yourself, one that doesn't sway with the opinions of others. Here's why becoming indifferent to validation from others can lead to deeper self-confidence, healthier relationships, and a more fulfilling life. 1. Freedom from people-pleasing. When you no longer need external validation, you stop bending over backward to please everyone. People-pleasing often stems from the desire to be liked and accepted, but it can make you lose sight of who you really are. By letting go of the need to please others, you free yourself from the constant pressure of living up to their expectations. Instead, you focus on what genuinely makes you happy and aligns with your values, creating a sense of inner freedom and self-respect. Example: instead of saying yes to a commitment out of fear of disappointing someone, you can confidently decline if it doesn't suit your priorities, knowing you don't need their approval. 2. Authentic self-expression. When you're unfazed by validation, you're free to express your true self without worrying about fitting into someone else's mold. Seeking approval often leads to adjusting your personality, beliefs, or behaviors to align with others' expectations. But when you're not focused on validation, you can be honest and authentic in your interactions, which attracts people who appreciate you for who you really are. Example: you might express a different opinion in a conversation, knowing it might not align with everyone's views, but feeling confident because it's a reflection of your true beliefs. 3. Increased resilience to criticism. Being unfazed by validation doesn't mean you ignore feedback, but you become resilient to unnecessary criticism. When you don't depend on others' approval, you can distinguish between constructive criticism and negativity. You won't be easily hurt by unfavorable opinions because your self-worth isn't tied to how others view you. This resilience makes you mentally stronger and better able to handle setbacks or judgments. Example: if someone criticizes your work, you can take the helpful aspects without letting it impact your self-esteem, focusing instead on growth and improvement. 4. Strengthened self-worth. Self-worth that's based on inner values and not others' opinions creates a lasting sense of confidence. Relying on external validation can make you vulnerable to fluctuations in how others perceive you. When you cultivate self-worth independently, you find value in who you are without needing constant reassurance. This grounded self-worth helps you feel secure in any situation, no matter what others think. Example: instead of needing a compliment on your appearance to feel confident, you feel good about yourself because you appreciate your own qualities. 5. Attracting meaningful connections. When you no longer rely on validation, you attract people who value you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. Being yourself without needing approval sends a powerful signal to those around you, and it draws in people who are equally authentic and supportive. You build relationships based on respect and acceptance, leading to more genuine and fulfilling connections. Example: friends who like you even when you're straightforward and unfiltered, rather than friends who only stick around when you fit a certain image. Conclusion: so the truth is, people will always miss what they once took for granted the moment you decide to value yourself. By standing up for your worth, setting boundaries, and focusing on your growth, you're teaching others how to treat you, and ultimately, you're creating a life that serves you better. Remember, it's not about making people miss you. It's about making sure you're valued for who you truly are. Thanks for watching. And if this resonated with you, remember to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep building a community that values self-respect and personal growth.